Welcome to another episode of the Crypto Spinter podcast. First up, Novogratz will launch the first cryptocurrency merchant bank. So, Novogratz has proposed to establish a cryptocurrency bank called Galaxy Digital. It will be full service, offering distinct trading, asset management, principal investment, and advisory work. He is looking to raise $200 million, excluding his own inputs, and plans to put it in a holding company, combining it with Bradmere Pharmaceuticals Inc. So, merchant bank is a pretty interesting thing for crypto, considering this bank deals with commercial loans, international finances, and investments. So, it can be even more capital pouring into crypto-related activities. Who knows the ETA on this, but still pretty good. Fantasy market ICO creator disappears with investors' money. So it's a high probability that the CEO, Jonathan Lucas, ran off with roughly $2 million in funds that are raised for the fantasy market ICO. Red flags were raised in an interview where he failed to answer some hard questions about the platform. Additionally, since there was little progress on the platform, anyway, it wasn't too surprising that this happened. These low-profile ICOs are some of the ones that are the most at risk of frauds like this because they're low funds that they're aiming for. $2 million is very little in crypto, even if that's a significant sum from the individual. So these lower capped ICOs really managed to go under the radar for a lot of go under the radar for a lot of people because it's more people chasing gems that they think are gems, but it comes at a higher risk because there's less eyes to kind of regulate the dev team. Goldman Sachs, Bitcoin could be viable money in troubled economies. So they see an advantage in crypto. However, they argue that crypto needs to be low growth to be implemented in the wider economy and not this rapid, what's it called? Can't think of the word, but just crypto spikes up too high and it's volatile, and financial services don't want volatility. So exponential, there you go, they don't want exponential growth. So this is one of the reasons that they cite that there's not any major state sanctioned crypto, because the petro has been denied and all the others are in conceptual phases. So they think that if a coin had less volatility, it'd be more in the league for actually being adopted by a country, but a country would probably make their own with these characteristics. So don't expect any massive returns on any national currencies, coins, if they are implemented, but this could bring wider mania into the crypto market as a whole, because if a country made their own digital currency, they'd probably make it easier access for the masses than most coins. And since coins are usually easily intertraded, this would pour into the rest of crypto, so it could be good. It really depends on how much this national coin interacts with the wider market. Public Wi-Fi, a hotbed for cryptocurrency mining malware. So a miner exploit called a coffee miner is parading itself around public Wi-Fi, and public Wi-Fi is dangerous as ever. What it does is a middleman attack and injects JavaScript into web pages, and it mines Monero. So I highly recommend you to not use unsecure Wi-Fi, or if you're using unsecure Wi-Fi, disable JavaScript while you're browsing. That will severely limit your ability to browse certain websites, but it sure beats turning your PC into a JavaScript miner. So keep that in mind if you're trying to pop up your crypto exchange account on a Starbucks Wi-Fi. Fearmongering. Mainstream media gets it wrong. So, South Korean not banning cryptocurrency trading. I mentioned this last time, but this is a story that's talking about how mainstream media was fudding, basically, about how Korea's also just banning crypto outright. So, what I said last time, if you listened to it, I was like, this is really exaggerated, and, Korea is doing these things in a way, but it's not like they're outright gunning to destroy crypto. So just be aware when you're listening to news, because even I sometimes get it wrong, but I try to not do it on purpose. Like, it's accidental. I'm not gonna say something false purposely. What I try to do is kind of get some confirmation from actual citizens of the country. Like, Twitter is excellent for this, to find citizens' take on what's actually going on, because Western media sees a press release and they take it out of context, or they exaggerate what the press release is actually saying, and press releases don't really always reflect the reality of the situation. So just be aware. Try to find actual citizens of the countries before you jump to any conclusions what's happening in the country. Binance CEO claims 250,000 new users in 1 hour. So this is one of the most popular exchanges since they host all sorts of altcoins. They're up to processing 5 billion in volume and constantly seeing a huge influx of users, mostly male, between the ages 25 and 35. They are also seeing an increase in institutional investors. The best part is they're less than 6 months old. Talk about a major achievement. MoneyGram to pilot Ripple's token. MoneyGram is using some of Ripple's products, and they are quite happy about being able to transfer money in seconds at low cost. Personally, my question is the token actually necessary for these services that Ripple are building? Because some of the Ripple services don't even utilize the token yet, from what I've been hearing. So, it's kind of one of those situations where did Ripple just kind of exploit the whole hype or use tokens as a vehicle for, that extra cash influx when they need it? It's pretty interesting. And as you'll see later, maybe it's a good thing that Ripple did this. KFC Canada is accepting Bitcoin for fried chicken. So you'll be able to pay a nice big bucket of KFC in Canada for a crypto payment. They are also accepting payment for a product that's a Bitcoin bucket. It can has like how much it costs. It's like a bucket with how much chicken costs, I guess, and it's just a cute little product, I guess. This was a pretty interesting marketing ploy that maybe had them a boost of customers, but it really didn't affect stock prices, like when companies rename themselves to X blockchain, or they make a press release saying they're pivoting to blockchain technology. But nevertheless, it's still a good gesture to actually being usable. Next up, New data has shown that Coinbase may be spamming the Bitcoin network. So, a bit of clickbait, but Coinbase is basically really neglecting their core service in a way because they didn't use SegWit and they didn't use batch transactions. So once they had their Bitcoin transactions temporarily down, and because of this temporary maintenance down, whatever, people were able to see how much Coinbase affected the network, and it was very obvious that with Coinbase's activity halted, there was significantly less transactions in the memory pool, and people were calling for Brian Armstrong's head because this neglect is what's really messing up the whole transaction speed and price, because they're not really doing what they should be doing, and they're costing themselves, well, they're mainly costing their customers more money in fees because of this neglect that we're doing. But the new general manager, Dan Romero, is trying to put things back to order, and seemed like he was the one really piloting this implementation of all these technical things that Coinbase should have been doing months ago. So it might have been a little ideological Bitcoin Cash versus Bitcoin thing going on, and Brian Strong picked the Bitcoin Cash side, or maybe it's just altcoin side for him. I don't know. I remember him being pretty pro Ethereum, or maybe it's just sour grapes that he sold his Bitcoin and he just was trying to sabotage the network a bit. Who knows what's going on, but Coinbase is now rectifying their neglect because of this new general manager, and hopefully we see the Bitcoin network, have less ridiculous fees and speeds, and with the Lightning Network well on their way, having super cheap Bitcoin transactions seem like a thing in the very close future. Korea's crypto crackdown talk draws backlash from users and politicians. So, here's the real news about Korea, and it's the bans and the call for kind of wrangling in crypto comes mainly from the Justice Department, and it's said to be possibly from the president, but internally there's also politicians that are pro-crypto, and it's really just an odd situation of dissenting opinions. There's not really real verdicts besides getting these exchanges to operate within the same legal kind of compliance as anything else. But it's really kind of those monitor the situation kind of things, because if the Justice Ministry wins out, then yeah, things will get harder for crypto in Korea, but currently there's more of democratic disagreement going on rather than extreme action against crypto. So just monitor the Korean situation, and no need to freak out yet. The U.S. government is fearing Bitcoin will be the next Swiss bank account. So the U.S. is sweating more and more about Bitcoin, especially since the common person has more access to Bitcoin than they would a Swiss bank's account. But there's also a specific concern for private coins like Monero or PivX, not so much Zcash anymore, because I think there's a chance that one can actually be revealed. Because I remember reading that one's not as secure because it's the protocol it runs in or whatever. So there's a chance that the U.S. government might get even more restrictive for crypto. That's very saddening. But maybe will be a reality. The Secretary of the Treasury desires to bring more regulation talk to the G20 conference about cryptocurrencies, and that's probably the biggest legal danger that crypto can have is unified legislation. Because when one country makes their own, people just flee to another one. But if all the countries sat down and had this wide arching regulation, then you can't do much. India is eyeing an opportunity amidst China's mining exodus. So India has low energy costs and it makes it perfect for mining. However, right now the Indian government is pretty questionable toward crypto. They're 100% not pro crypto. They're more anti than anything. There's a lot of exchanges being brought down and a lot of concern that crypto is a scam and all that junk in India. So India might be a mining opportunity, but it's a political toss-up, and it carries more risk than reward than these miners moving to Europe or the US or Canada. And yes, miners can move to the US because unlike ICOs, mining is pretty permissible in the US, and the energy costs in certain areas are pretty low, such as the TVA area that I'm in. Next up, Capital One refuses to let customers buy cryptocurrency from any exchange. So Capital One has suddenly banned any crypto payments, which is weird because it was just out of nowhere, completely random. Like they do this. They didn't really say they're just not supporting crypto anymore. So Capital One's garbage now, I guess. This really just gonna lead to more people opening up different bank accounts elsewhere to get their crypto fix. So not a big loss. UK Bitcoin investors are denied mortgages to buy homes. So this isn't really too big, but it's not really too big because it's still possible to use crypto for this. However, it requires extensive audits to kind of like make sure you're not some criminal money launderer, so it's probably not worth it in the end. So many lenders are still anti-crypto, but there's a small few that, like I said, will allow this and under crazy audits, but it's possible. It's possible to get a mortgage for crypto and all that and pay it off and all that with a pretty crazy world we're going into. And finally, will Sweden be the first nation with their own cryptocurrency? As I said earlier, no nation has established their own cryptocurrency. It's all really conceptual, and Sweden's really thinking about making their own because they're going toward a cashless society faster than most other countries. Because I know in the US, like, cash is still super big in America. People even still use checks pretty regularly here. But I know I've heard in Europe it's more card than anything, and cash is rapidly disappearing. So it was said that they're not looking to implement it anytime soon, but in the coming years it could be an actual possibility. At this rate, since the petro is a no-go, we can probably expect Russia to be the first state-sponsored coin. Theirs seem like it'd be heavily kind of monitored and regulated, so they could probably roll it out faster than a lot of other people and still be okay. But might be looking to Russia in the first one. Estonia was going to have one, but it's not really a country currency that interfaces with everything. It was more like for a specific reason. But it'll be interesting to see these big nations, or any nation really, to adopt a digital currency as its main thing. As I said earlier, it'd probably be a coin that didn't see exponential growth, but was relatively stable. Well, extremely stable if you compare it to the crypto right now. And that'll be it. I know the market's kind of in the garbage right now, but this is how you differentiate the men from the boys, I guess you could say. Just hang in there. The market always recovers. We have tons of growth to do in the coming years, especially in the coming year. Hang in there. Rate and review the podcast like usual. Subscribe to the email list and enjoy. See you Thursday for the next episode of the Crypto Spendthrift Podcast.